Hello, fellow flamenco enthusiasts, and welcome to episode 28 of Everything Flamenco. I'm your host, La Jugo, and happy International Day of Flamenco today. I almost didn't bring out an episode because it's been a minute since I posted one last, but I didn't have a voice for radio or for podcast, so to speak. But luckily, kind of back again and ready to go. And I'm very happy to be able to give you this special episode today, where we really celebrate flamenco and everything that it is about. So, flamenco is being celebrated every year now, right over the world on the 16th of November. And the reason for that is that on the 16th of November 2010, UNESCO declared flamenco an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. And a year later, the International Day of Flamenco was launched so that they can promote this artistic expression that combines song, which is the cante, dance, which is the baile, and musicianship, which is the toque. And it actually took quite some time for the Andalusian government to get this recognized by UNESCO. So they had a failed attempt in 2005, but then restarted things again in 2009 when it was decided to push as much as possible to make flamenco, being internationally recognized and to really celebrate the history and tradition of the art form. And in August of 2009, the candidacy was registered, and then at the beginning of 2010, it was launched by the Junta de Andalucía campaign for flamenco. And the idea was really to promote the project nationally and internationally. And like I said, the Andalusian municipality, or whatever you may call it, and then also the government of Spain, with the collaboration of the Murcia and Extremadura municipalities, work together. And more than 30,000 people from 60 countries voted for the flamenco candidacy through the UNESCO website. And, after this successful declaration in 2010, in 2011, the Andalusian government then agreed to declare November 16 as the International Day of Flamenco, which then coincides with the anniversary of its inclusion as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity by UNESCO. So without reading the whole thing, I just wanted to read you a little snippet from the UNESCO website about the reasonings that they had for making this decision to include flamenco as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. So they specifically said here that flamenco is something that includes a lot of passion and courtship, expressing a wide range of situations ranging from sadness and to joy, and the technique of the singing, the cante, as well as the toque and the baile is complex, and it differs depending on whether the dancer also is male or female. And the art of the guitar has long surpassed the original role as accompaniment. And then they were also talking about other instruments, including kazi, so castanets, your hand clapping, your palmas, and your foot stamping, which is probably, I assume, your downbeats, are also employed. And flamenco is performed during religious festivals, rituals, church ceremonies, and at private celebrations. It's it's the badge of identity of numerous communities and groups, in particular, like I also said, the Gitano, the Roma ethnic community, which has played an essential role in its development. And transmission occurs through dynasties, families, social groups, and flamenco clubs, all of which play a key role in its preservation and dissemination. I think it's not only flamenco clubs, it's now flamenco schools. And, even here in South Africa, we I see like some of my fellow dancers, I mean, they also have kids and they kind of also grow up with flamenco, almost like the Spanish. No, probably not on that level, but it's just beautiful to see how it's going to be transferred from generation to generation. And so, anyway, I'm digressing. So, from the UNESCO website, they said that they decided that flamenco satisfied the criteria for inscription on the representative list because flamenco is strongly rooted in its community, as you've all probably also experienced if you are part of flamenco community wherever you are staying, where flamenco really strengthens its cultural identity and it continues to be passed down from one generation to the next, as I've said. And the second point that they made was that the inscription of flamenco on the representative list could raise awareness about the intangible cultural heritage while promoting human creativity and mutual respect among communities. If you think especially about the way that the Romani and the Gitano people were looked down upon, and what happened to them, especially during the Spanish Civil War. This is really a very important point that they made. And then the third point was ongoing and proposed measures demonstrate the concerted efforts of regional governments, institutions, NGOs, the communities, and private persons to ensure flamenco safeguarding. And I think this is such an important point because, especially if you think about what happened a few years ago, those years that nobody talks about anymore, where we were locked in our houses, um, art forms, different art forms right around the world really suffered because of that, because all the restaurants were closed, the bars were closed, people were not allowed to gather in groups anymore, and the art forms really suffered. And flamenco was one of them. And if you think about how much adversity, flamenco artists came from, and where flamenco really originated from adversity and adversity, and really tough times. It's a beautiful thing that there's now really a concerted effort to really safeguard the beauty that is flamenco. And then the fourth point that they made was the nomination resulted from the active participation and commitment of the communities and the individual practitioners whose broad consensus was demonstrated by their free, prior, and informed consent. So just to state that the people, voted for it out of their free will and nominated out of free will. And then the fifth point, it said flamenco is inscribed in the General Register of Cultural Assets of the region of Murcia, established by the Directorate General for Fine Arts and Cultural Heritage of the Autonomous Region of Murcia. And then it also said here that it inscribes flamenco on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. So I just wanted to talk about a few things about the beauty of flamenco. So one of it that is also the reason why I haven't made an episode about the origins of flamenco, because it's such a mixed bag, and I am, I'm a very, it's interesting. I'm a very structured person that really likes to be factually correct, and it looks like, especially again where I think we spoke about this before about flamenco is a lifelong journey where you're going to learn. Myself as a dancer or a potential dancer, you learn for the rest of your life, and nothing in flamenco is ever perfect, and that's the beauty of it. But I really want to honor the history and honor what happened in the past. And I'm so scared of being wrong that I haven't really, gotten into the history of flamenco. But yeah, it's got mysterious origins. Hopefully, I will one day get to the point where I actually do an episode just about the origins of flamenco. But yeah, just in short, it's believed to have its roots in the Gitano culture in Andalusia. And apparently its exact origins are difficult to trace. So I think I'm not wrong by being a little bit scared to say that flamenco comes from here, flamenco comes from there. But I think maybe this mysterious, fact about it actually contributes to the fascination about flamenco. Um, Leaving lots of room for interpretation and speculation. And we can also talk about people really pushing the boundaries of flamenco in a future episode. And then another thing is it's got so many cultural influences. It's not only from the Gitano, the Roma people, but it's also absorbed elements of Moorish and Jewish culture. And there's even some, you can even see some Indian influence. And if you think the fans say they come from the East. So it's really a fusion of traditions which has enriched and diversified the art of flamenco over the years. And then, we did an episode about palmas, I mean, the clapping, the palmas and compás, which are two such fundamental things of flamenco. And, where performers and aficionados don't only clap as applause for approval, but they also participate in the creation of the rhythm, as we've spoken about in a previous episode. And this is not always the case, but I mean, exquisite costumes, flamboyant costumes you can see oftentimes, especially, in the tablaos where it's more formalized performances, whereas in the streets, it will probably not be as exquisite. Also, if you think about the Feria de Abril, how everybody dresses up, and the costumes are oftentimes just as important as the music and the dance. It also conveys a message. Especially with the dancers, the costumes can be elaborate and very colorful, and with lots of frills and things that contributes to the visual aspect of it. And then, when you look at the flamenco guitar, for example, which has become such an essential component of flamenco, and it has unique characteristics and is a unique way that flamenco guitarists play the guitar, specifically the rasgueado, I think is called, where, specifically the way that they move their fingers. And I mean, there's a difference between a classical guitar and a flamenco guitar, which we can also perhaps explore in a future episode. And another thing is duende. I mean, that's something that I haven't even spoken about at all in the podcast, because it's such a difficult concept to describe, but it's really also an essential part of understanding flamenco. And duende is almost like a unicorn, in my view. um, it's about really transcending your performance, like really becoming so part of the dance that there can't be, people can't discern between where you start and the dance starts, or where you end and the dance ends. It's just a fusion where you really become so immersed in it that you almost transcend. And it's a really magical moment, and even the most experienced dancers might never experience duende. So this is something that we all strive towards as flamenco dancers. Um, and then, I've also spoken about, or just noted tablaos, for example. where, flamenco can be enjoyed like in various places. I mean, it can be at festivals, like I said, or informal theaters, or even in the street. But tablaos are something really special, where they are there exclusively for flamenco, and it's normally intimate venues and authentic, where artists can really connect with the audience and with their cuadro on the stage. And then another thing about flamenco is also your cante, specifically your cantejondo or cantejondo. It's a very deep emotional type of singing, style of singing. And it really connects with the most primitive aspects of human existence. And it's a fundamental component of the purest flamenco. And I think it also is deeply rooted in the history of flamenco and the Gitano people. And then something that not all of us are taught, but that we also want to strive towards, is to improvise and be spontaneous. I think most of us, we taught in mostly uh, to dance to specific choreographies, and not always to improvise, or the main focus isn't always on improvisation. But I think if you can learn the structure of dances and the structures of the letras, the verses that the singer sings, and how it fits together with the guitar and the palmas, you can really learn how to improvise. And I think that is a beautiful thing if you are able to do that. And yeah, singers can surprise you. I think in Spain, where they just improvise, and then as a dancer you will have to be able to adapt to that. So yeah. And the last thing is just the word flamenco, which also, there's different people having different opinions about where the word flamenco actually comes from. So I'm not going to get into that, but I mean, flamenco is a very unique word, specifically related to the dance form that we love so much. And just to close off, I think this is going to be quite a long episode. So today it's the 14th edition of the commemoration of the International Day of Flamenco. So apparently the Andalusia government prepared more than 100 activities spread across the 8 provinces of Andalusia today. So I'll be very interested to see what is going on in Spain today. And it is really, based on alliances and knowledge and commitment to the art of flamenco by different sectors of the society. Really celebrating the art form and testifying to its role as a fundamental pillar of Andalusian culture. And they're already planning next year, which is the 15th anniversary of the Declaration of Flamenco as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. So I'm very excited to see what they have in store for next year. And maybe, next year we can talk about it, and hopefully there'll be some like videos and articles and things that we can reference. So yeah, that is it actually for this episode. A lot of fumbling from my side, but I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, that is it. So hopefully it won't be that long again before I do another episode for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. As I'm sitting here recording this, I'm really smiling because it's so wonderful for me that there's an internationally recognized Day of Flamenco. It's even better, don't tell the Spanish, but it's even better for me than the International Day of Spain, having an International Day of Flamenco, and that is really considered effort right across the world. to promote this beautiful art form. So hopefully we can chat about it more, about flamenco, lots and lots more. I think this podcast is also evolving as we go, so I might sometimes touch on dance in general, not just flamenco, as you've probably noticed about the previous episode that I did about how dance improves your memory. Yeah, but let me know if you want to cover any other topics or want to listen to any other things, anything flamenco related. It can also be dance related. And then I'll chat to you in the next episode. Hopefully, it won't be that long again because I love to talk to you guys. So I'll see you in the next one. Ole!